Welcome. This video is part of a 12-month healing series hosted on YouTube. Each month focuses on a different layer of mind, body, spirit alignment. You're welcome to walk the whole year with us or simply take what you need today. Today we'll be talking about achievement, burnout, and the body's silent signals. There's a common misunderstanding about burnout that I want to clear up right away. Burnout is not a failure of resilience. It is not a lack of discipline, and it is not a personal weakness. Burnout is what happens when the body has been speaking quietly for a long time and finally realizes it is not being heard. Most people don't burn out because they can't handle stress. They burn out because they've learned to override their bodies in the name of success. And often they're very good at it. They're functional, responsible, capable. They show up, they deliver, and they keep going until one day something shifts. Their energy drops, their irritability increases, their sleep may change, and their motivation may disappear. And the most confusing part is this. On paper, everything might still look fine. That's because burnout doesn't begin where most people are taught to look. It doesn't begin in the mind. It begins in the body. The nervous system is constantly sending signals about capacity, safety, and limits. But in a culture that rewards achievement over attunement, those signals are often ignored. Not intentionally, conditionally. Many people learned early that listening to the body wasn't practical. You push through, you don't complain, and you keep up. And so the body adapts. It gets quieter, not because it has nothing to say, but because it has learned it won't be listened to. That is why burnout is often preceded not by chaos, but by competence. People don't notice the signals because they've normalized them. Chronic tension, shallow breathing, persistent fatigue, a sense of pressure even during rest. Let's pause here. Right now, I'd like you to ask yourself quietly, how loud does my body usually have to get before I listen? Notice what arises, not as an answer, but as a sensation. Is there tightness, a sinking feeling, a sense of recognition? You don't need to change anything, just notice. The body speaks in sensations long before it speaks in symptoms. Burnout happens when the early signals are consistently overridden. From a physiological perspective, this makes sense. The nervous system has limited ways to communicate. If subtle signals are ignored, it escalates. If escalation is ignored, it eventually shuts things down. This is not punishment, it's protection. Many people reach burnout not because they were careless, but because they were loyal. Loyal to roles, to expectations, to versions of themselves that once kept them safe. And because of that loyalty, they didn't realize they were living ahead of their bodies, always slightly outpacing regulation. Now let's make this tangible. Bring to mind a typical workday or responsibility-heavy day. Notice, where do you habitually hold tension? Your jaw, your neck, your chest, or maybe your belly? Now ask without judgment, how long has this tension been here? Most people don't know because it's become background noise. Burnout often isn't dramatic collapse. It's the quiet accumulation of unacknowledged strain. And here's the part most people miss. You cannot think your way back into regulation. Regulation is a bodily experience. This is why rest alone doesn't always fix burnout. People take time off and still feel agitated, still restless, still uneasy in stillness, because the nervous system hasn't learned that safety can exist without productivity. Let's introduce a new experience. I'd like you to sit comfortably. Let your spine be supported rather than upright on purpose. Notice if your body wants to hold itself together. Now see if you can allow just 5% more support. Not melting, not giving up, just allowing. Notice what happens internally. If discomfort arises, that's okay. That's the nervous system learning something new. Many people associate rest with collapse because they've never practiced regulated rest. They only stop when they're depleted, so rest feels unsafe. Aligned regulation, though, feels different. It feels like presence with energy, not the absence of it. This is the difference between burnout recovery and burnout prevention. Prevention happens when the body is listened to before it has to escalate. This is a skill, and skills can be learned. One of the most powerful shifts people make is learning to notice the early signals again. Not exhaustion, but effort. Not collapse, but constriction. Not breakdown, but bracing. Let's practice that now. As you sit here, notice, is your breath moving easily? Are you holding anywhere unnecessarily? Is there a subtle sense of pushing even right now? There's no correct answer. The noticing itself is the practice, because the body doesn't need perfection. It needs permission to be heard. Now, as we close, I want to offer you a simple daily integration practice for this week. Just once a day, pause and ask your body, what do you need right now to feel just a little more supported? Not dramatically better, just more supported. Then respond if you can, or simply acknowledge if you can't. That acknowledgement alone changes the relationship. Burnout is not a sign that you've failed. It's a sign that your body has been loyal for a very long time, and alignment begins when loyalty is returned. Not by doing less out of obligation, but by listening more out of respect. That is body-based integration, and it is the foundation of a sustainable, aligned life.